Hello, everybody, and either welcome or welcome back to my podcast. As always, I want to remind you that if you do like this, please rate, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Well, I'm going to assume that since you're here, you've already seen the title of this week's episode, but you might be wondering, why part 2? Well, that was because part 1 was actually my very first episode of this podcast, where I discussed the media reaction to the announcement that this summit would be taking place. And much like that announcement, and much like this podcast, it feels like it was years and years ago, but it was actually only months ago. But I thought I couldn't very well make that episode, and then not make an episode discussing my thoughts after the summit, so that's what we're going to do today. Where I want to start, though, is right before the Singapore summit, which was the G7 summit, or as I've taken to calling it, the G6.5 summit, because we were kind of there. Trump was there for a minute. He had to leave early to go to the Singapore summit. But what ended up happening at the G7 summit was apparently, who knows what was and was not said behind closed doors, but after Trump left, Justin Trudeau had some things to say about Trump that pissed off Trump. So he went on a Twitter rampage, instructed whoever was left in his stead over at the G7 summit to not sign the communique, which of course led to more things being said by Justin Trudeau, which led to more tweets from Trump, which somehow seemed to lead to Justin Trudeau's eyebrows falling off. I still have no idea what's going on with that situation. If anybody can explain that to me, please do. I did not know that glue-on eyebrows were a thing. But all of this epic pettiness happens right before what might be the most important foreign policy summit in the last 50 years or so, which just makes this extra Trumpy. But all US-Canada drama aside, the show must go on, so off to Singapore Trump goes to the Trump-Kim summit, which, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this summit actually happened? After everything that's happened in the intervening months of are we, aren't we, is he going, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, and for a while there it seemed like none of this was going to happen and the whole thing was off. So the whole fact that this even happened is something of an achievement in and of itself. As for the summit itself, it went down pretty much the way I expected it to, which was half media circus and half diplomacy. But that's pretty much any summit nowadays. I mean, of course there's always photo ops, especially when you're talking about Trump. I mean, the man lives for a photo op. And actually, the best one that I saw come out of it, and I'm sure everybody's seen the clip. If not, I'll try to find it for you guys. I know I tweeted it, but there's this video clip of Trump and his people, and then Kim and his people are on the other side of this table, and Trump is making some kind of jokes to the photographers, talking about how trying to get them at their best angle so that they can look young and thin and beautiful. And then the camera pans over to Kim, and Kim's got this look on his face like, dude, that ship's done sailed for both of us a long fucking time ago. But it's hilarious. A lot of the pictures that came out of it are just unintentionally hilarious, but I mean, that is what it is. I mean, it's a summit. There's photo ops. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. It's an important event, so of course there's going to be pictures and handshaking and all this good stuff, but that doesn't bother me, honestly. I mean, that is what it is. As to what was agreed on in the summit, I don't think anybody's actually seen the actual agreement, but from what I've been able to gather, it seems to be some kind of framework of a deal for North Korea to denuclearize in exchange for us lifting or at least easing up on sanctions on North Korea. Like I said, nobody seems to really know the details on it yet. And the only reason I feel comfortable even saying that it's a denuclearization for sanctions deal is because Mike Pompeo came out and said that we will not be doing anything with sanctions against North Korea until we see some evidence of denuclearization. So that seems to be where we're at, which I'm okay with that. I mean, it's not... A nuclearized North Korea isn't really my greatest concern with North Korea, but that seems to be everybody else's concern. Personally, I'd like to see some of the human rights violations addressed. I'd like to see the labor camps addressed. I'd like to see things like that. But I guess this is a fine enough start, and it seems to be that, at least on Trump's end, he is interested in this being a continuing dialogue. He actually said that he would be willing to host Kim at the White House if he wishes to go. So obviously this is something that he wishes to have an ongoing dialogue on, and that he would actually be okay with having Kim go to the White House to continue this conversation, which is actually kind of a big deal. I kind of wonder if he'll take him up on it, to be honest. That would be really interesting to see. Speaking of interesting things to see that came out of this summit, apparently Kim brought with him some of the North Korean propaganda machine, obviously, and they recorded this documentary of him during the summit. And this has kind of not gotten enough attention, I think, because it really is a huge, huge deal. Because I've not had a chance to sit down and watch the whole thing yet. It's like 40 minutes long. But I've watched some of it and I've seen some of the stills. And first of all, it answered one question for me, which is, do North Koreans even know this is happening? So the answer to that would obviously be, if they didn't know about it beforehand, they certainly know about it now. And the fact that this documentary that was produced by North Korean propagandists is showing Kim out of the country to meet with the President of the United States, and it's showing actually like Singapore, like their skyline, like the hotels, the food, all of that sort of stuff, which is, to me, a tacit admission that North Koreans are not unaware of the fact that other people do not live the way they live, and that the North Korean propaganda machine is okay with filming this documentary for a North Korean audience and showing this to them is really a big deal in my estimation. Because like I said, it is that admission that, they're not, the North Koreans aren't ignorant of the rest of the world. Like it's gotten into them far enough to where even the Kim family and the propaganda machine is basically just saying, okay, yeah, we know that you guys know, and so we're not going to pretend like you don't know anymore. And like I said, I haven't got a chance to finish it yet because I was trying to go ahead and prep for doing this, but I'm really interested in watching it. And another thing I would love to know, which right now isn't really knowable, is how is this being pitched and spun to North Koreans? Because obviously, as everybody knows, North Korea's media is state-run. I mean, there's only one channel for news, basically. The government completely controls the whole narrative. Anything that they know is because the government has chosen to tell them. And I would love to know, like, especially as far as Trump, like, how is this being kind of presented to the North Koreans? Like, is he being presented as this great guy who's going to, work with us and try to make our country better, try to help you guys out? Or is this being presented like, ha ha ha, look at this fucking idiot, we got him to come to the table? And I'm kind of getting the vibe that it's going to be more of the former than the latter. Just because, like I said, that documentary, that surprised me. That really, really shocked me that they would do that and make something like that for North Korean consumption. So, I mean, like I said, we never really know what North Koreans know. Like, obviously, even going into this, I don't know if anybody actually knew for a fact that North Koreans even knew that this was taking place. Like, they could have totally did this without telling anybody in North Korea. I mean, that's, like I said, with a state-run media, they could have did this completely in secret. Nobody there would know. Nobody would know that he left the country. Nobody would know that he talked to Trump. Nobody would know that this summit happened. But the fact that they have decided to tell them and to kind of show them the process of what went on, it's interesting, and it's giving me a little bit of hope that maybe, at least kind of like societally, there might be a little bit of a change going on in North Korea. But now to move on from the happy, positive, thought-provoking parts of this discussion to the ugly, gross, kind of disappointing parts of this. And that is the reaction from most of the mainstream media and the left to this summit, which I'll just go ahead and give you my TLDR version of what is about to come, and that is, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Now, to be clear, I wasn't expecting, like, praise from the mountaintops. I didn't think that people would all of a sudden think Trump shits sunshine and lollipops. I didn't think people who didn't like Trump would all of a sudden be like, I love Trump now! Everything's great! MAGA! But I expected something a little better than what we have gotten so far. I was really kind of thinking maybe we would get kind of begrudging praise, kind of I still don't like Trump, and I don't like Trump either, but at least kind of an acknowledgement that this summit was a good thing, that this is a first step towards possibly actually having a peaceful Korea, as far as maybe denuclearizing, so that there's not this like existential threat of nuclear war that everybody seems to buy into every, 3 months or so. I expected something along those lines, and clearly I did not get that. Now, obviously, I'm aware that Trump derangement syndrome is real, but I don't know. I like I said, I don't like Trump, but I can put that to the side and admit when somebody I don't particularly care for does something that I do approve of. And it's just been incredibly disappointing to see how far people are willing to go to even deny this dude a win on anything. Like you will not give this dude credit for a single fucking thing, even if that thing happens to be the beginning of discussions towards a peaceful North Korea. Like, really? Really? Can you not get over yourself for 5 minutes to even give him props for that? Like, this is a big deal. This is serious. This is not like some petty-ante fucking game. This is somebody who is actually taking steps to help denuclearize North Korea, to hopefully maybe open up North Korea, to help maybe eventually do something about the human rights violations. Hopefully, maybe down the road. That's my hope. But it's like, you can't even give him credit for that? Really? Really? Is it that hard for you? Is it really that hard to admit when somebody you don't like does something good? It's like the level of Trump derangement syndrome is just so fucking gross and vile on this. And when you see the reporting on it, especially for people that are in the mainstream media, mostly when it are leftists, it's almost like you get this feeling like the stories were written before the summit even began. Like, you already made your decision. You already came up with your stories. You already came up with the narrative. You already came up with your opinions before anything even happened. Like, what the fuck? I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. And I mean, the stories themselves are so weak. It's like, every time I see somebody, it's like, oh, this is legitimizing the Kim family and it's legitimizing North Korea. Motherfuckers, we already did that. Like, I discussed it in the first episode of this podcast. But yeah, if sending Bill Clinton and Madeleine Albright to go fetch, like, prisoners isn't legitimizing North Korea, I don't know what the fuck is. Okay, so now a sitting president goes and talks to an actual sitting supreme leader of North Korea. Okay, I mean, this is how negotiations start. Like, I don't know what else. Like, I don't know how you guys plan on starting negotiations without actually talking to someone. Like, this whole legitimizing thing makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. The other storyline that really killed me on this one was, oh, we don't send U.S. presidents to talk to dictators. And I'm like, the fuck we don't? I'm sorry. I remember reading about a time when the left's Lord and Savior, FDR, was on a regular speaking basis with Stalin. They were practically friends. Reagan talked to Gorbachev. Maybe not as chummy as FDR and Stalin, but yes, we most definitely do have sitting presidents who speak to dictators. Stop it. Go read a fucking history book. Go learn something, please, before you make stupid fucking hot takes like presidents don't speak to dictators, because they most certainly do. But the worst thing I've seen come out of this, the most vile, disgusting thing I've seen come out of this, and I actually had to pause this and go find it because I want to say the question verbatim. This is the question that Michelle Wolf, you know, the female comedian from the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Well, now she has her own show on Netflix, and she put a question to her audience and her fans watching. And here's the question verbatim. Are you sort of hoping we don't get peace with North Korea so you wouldn't have to give Trump credit? 77% of the people who answered that poll voted yes. Let that sink in for a second. 77% of these people would rather not see peace and have to give Donald Trump credit for it. I cannot wrap my head around this kind of next level fucked up thinking that you would have to even remotely think of clicking yes on this question. I mean, 25 million people living under a brutal communist dictatorship. People eating fucking dirt to survive. People who, if you can't even begin to imagine the living conditions of these people. And you have liberals who would rather see that continue than to have to give Trump credit for ending it. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what? I can't even. I cannot wrap my head around this. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, wow. I'm rarely speechless, but that one floored me. Like, I could not believe that. Like, wow. I mean, all I can say to wrap this up is, can we please stop shitting on people who are trying to do something to better the world just because you don't like them? Like, can you please stop being horrible garbage trash people for 5 seconds and just admit that somebody you don't like and you don't agree with is actually trying to do something good for somebody else? Is it that hard? Just deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. It's okay. You can just say, I don't like Trump, but I support the North Korean summit. It's not that hard. Look, I said it. I don't like Trump. I can somehow manage to get these words out of my mouth. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with the rest of you people that can't, but figure your lives out and quit being so fucking gross about the whole damn thing. Like, really, stop. Okay, moving on from that ugliness to something that's a little more positive, which is the rehabilitation of Dennis Rodman. Like, what the fuck? We all love Rodman now. If you haven't seen it, I will try to post a link in the show notes, but Dennis Rodman managed to get himself to Singapore with the help of Potcoin, who sponsored him, which just makes this whole thing even more hilarious, but it's kind of neither here nor there for the story. But they sponsored him going to Singapore. Like, he wasn't a part of the summit, like he wasn't involved with it, but he was in Singapore, and he gave an interview on CNN from Singapore where they were discussing, obviously, the summit and Rodman's involvement in North Korea and his relationship with Kim Jong-il, which is Kim Jong-un's dad, and his relationship with Kim Jong-un. And he, at one point, was, like, legit crying on television. Like, he was seriously, like, happy and just excited that this summit was happening. And it's always been kind of easy to make fun of Dennis Rodman for obvious reasons. And I know a lot of people have given him shit about going to North Korea. But kind of seeing this interview and kind of getting a better idea of where he's coming from, it's like, now I feel kind of shitty about making fun of him, because he honestly has been trying to advocate for years for this to happen. And he's been kind of doing it not from the US side of the fence, but the North Korean side of the fence, of trying to kind of trying to get somebody from the Kim family to the table, and then trying to get somebody from the US to the table. And he just, it's hard to watch that interview without tearing up, because, like I said, he seems genuinely emotionally invested in this. Like, he's like so happy this is happening that he's like crying on television. And he's going on talking about how when he was going to North Korea and coming back, he was getting death threats. Like, he couldn't even go home. He had to go hide out. And something that was actually very interesting from the interview, and I would love for somebody to be able to corroborate this, but apparently at some point Rodman was in North Korea, and he had actually gotten Kim Jong-il to agree to doing a sit-down with Obama if Rodman could bring Obama to the table. And as Rodman tells it, he went and presented it to, like, Kim Jong-il had some preconditions kind of like laid out how we would want this deal to go down. And he tried to present it to Obama, and Obama basically just blew him off, which, if this is true, good job letting Trump take another piece of your legacy, Obama, because this could have been you. But no, you decided you didn't want to do it. So there. But, I mean, honestly, like, if that happened, if that legitimately went down the way Rodman said it did, and Obama blew him off, I mean, that's shitty. Like, this could have already have happened, like, years ago. And it just, it shocked me to hear that story. Like, it really did. I was like, wow, it gives you a completely different perspective of what Rodman's been trying to do all these years. Like I said, we've all made fun of him, and we've all given him shit for going to North Korea, but now it's kind of like, all right, you were, like, legit trying to make this summit happen, like, for years, and you really, really, really tried. And you even tried with Obama, and Obama shot you down. So it's like, you know, like, everybody kind of loves Rodman now. Like, we all kind of have gone from, oh my God, this dude, look at him, to like, oh my God, this dude, look at him. Another thing that Rodman said during the interview was that Trump's team actually did reach out to him, not Trump directly. Actually, to back this up a little bit, if you're not aware, Dennis Rodman was actually on Celebrity Apprentice at one point, so him and Trump do actually know each other and are somewhat friendly with each other. But Trump did have somebody, one of his official people from the White House, reach out to Dennis Rodman and thank him for kind of laying a little bit of the groundwork for making this summit happen, which of course made Rodman very happy, which is, it's kind of like, wow, that's kind of wild to think about. But I guess this is 2018, and a basketball star and a reality TV host are going to be the ones to bring about North Korean peace. Okay, I guess, sure, why the hell not? But to pivot to my thoughts on the summit, I have always been a big supporter of having this summit. I've always felt like it would be a good thing, and now that it's happened and we're kind of on the backside of that, my opinion hasn't changed. I do feel like this is a very big deal of actually opening up actual official, like, communications with North Korea. Like, there's an actual official, like, line of communication now. Like, Trump and Kim have actually spoken to each other. I think that is really, really important, especially going forward. I definitely disagree, obviously, with this media perception that this whole thing was just a sham and a waste of time and a PR stunt. I mean, in the way that all summits are PR stunts, and one of the criticisms that I saw of this that I forgot to mention earlier was that, oh, this is just a big win for Kim because he brought the president of the U.S. to the table, which, I mean, yeah, it's a photo op for Kim. Okay, it's a photo op for Trump too. I mean, they both want this equally, for probably pretty damn close to the same reasons. And I've never opposed it on those grounds because, like I said, it's a summit. It's already a PR stunt to begin with. But this whole idea that, like, this was a waste of time, it's like, no, it fucking wasn't. I mean, first of all, the fact that this even happened is momentous. Like, just the fact that it happened alone means it wasn't a waste of time. And they got, I guess, something of a deal together to start kind of thinking about denuclearization, to start thinking about lifting sanctions, to start normalizing relations with North Korea, maybe start opening up North Korea. I mean, that's not nothing. Like, portraying that as nothing, I don't get that. Like, that's just being an asshole. Like, yes, something happened. I mean, even if you go off sheer symbolism, this happened, and it's a good thing. Like, opening up dialogue with a country that you're hoping to maybe enact some kind of positive change in is a good thing in and of itself. Another reason this summit was a good thing is for South Korea, who, by the way, I mean, we have Canada as our hat and we have our issues with them, but could you imagine having North Korea as your hat? Like, anything that's going to make it to where South Koreans don't have to constantly be trying to look across the DMZ and be like, I don't know, what are those squirrely motherfuckers doing up there now? Is a good thing. Like, it's always been that, whenever North Korea is a threat, obviously the biggest threat they are to is South Korea. So, I mean, even going back to the Korean War, obviously. But anything that is going to try to kind of calm North Korea down, maybe denuclearize, maybe get rid of the DMZ, maybe actually, well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually do have a peace agreement now between North and South Korea, so that we can actually officially end the Korean War. Like, anything that's going to kind of help out South Korea to not have to worry so much about North Korea is a good thing. And it does seem like the majority of South Koreans are very much in favor of this summit and anything that comes from it. So, yeah, don't forget about the South Koreans. They actually have to live next to North Koreans. And so, obviously, if we can help out them, who they are an ally to us, if we can help out them, I mean, that's a good thing too. As far as going the diplomatic route with North Korea is concerned, my opinion is, well, fuck it. We've tried everything else. We've literally been to war with them. We've sanctioned the shit out of them. We've antagonized the shit out of them. We've ostracized them from the world stage. And they're still here. They haven't gone away. So, alright, let's try diplomacy. Maybe this will be the thing that works. I don't know. All I know is everything we've tried so far has not worked. So, slamming this when nothing else that you've tried has worked makes no sense to me. None of the other stances that any other president has taken has gotten rid of North Korea, obviously. So, screw it. Diplomacy. Let's give it a whirl. And as far as who's doing the diplomacy, honestly, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Whoever wants to go do it. If Trump wants to go do it, fine. If Obama wanted to go do it, fine. I mean, zombie Hitler. I don't care. Go reanimate Hitler's corpse and send his ass down to North Korea to try to advocate for peace and to try to open up North Korea. I literally don't give a shit who does it. Do I wish maybe it was a different person? Do I wish we had a different president to do it? Sure. But this is the president we have. This is the president that's willing to do it. So this is the one we gotta roll with. I mean, I don't get slamming this because of Trump. I mean, nobody else was willing to do it. Like, we've had plenty of other presidents. Obama could have did it. Clinton could have did it. One of the Bushes could have did it. Carter could have did it. Literally, any of these people could have gone over there and did this, but Trump is the only one that did. So, this is the guy we gotta roll with. If you don't like it, go be pissed off at every president before him that refused to go do it. So, there you go. My thoughts on the whole Trump-Kim summit post-fact. But, yeah, I still think it was a good thing. I'm still happy it happened. I am just really, really disappointed in the reaction in it. And it's only Thursday, so I'm sure there will be more shit to come that will still piss me off about this. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this at this point because I've said everything I wanted to say for today. If you've made it this far, thank you. And as always, I want to remind everybody, please rate, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Take care, and until next time.